What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we are jumping into Teen Titans Academy, issue number 5. And if you haven't been keeping up with this line, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with the Teen Titans Academy. Now, so far in this line, they have been extremely elusive onto who Red X might be. But in this line, we have learned of some other individuals along the way. Some of those individuals being the Bat Pack. And that's what this issue is going to focus more on. Now, this is written by Tim Sheridan. Pencils are Steve Leiber. Inks are the same. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright, gang, so as we dive into issue number 5, we are picked up on the streets of Gotham. And currently, Diego, aka Chupacabra, is making his way through the streets, trying to find some kind of crime because he is on the lookout for Batman. And making his way along Gotham City, he sees the shadowy figure making his way on the rooftops. Attempting to go run and chase Batman down, this is when Diego comes face to face with Nightwing. And so Nightwing goes ahead and takes him back to the orphanage, takes him back to Beaumont. And as he makes his way back inside, he meets up with the rest of the Bat Pack. And right now they're talking about trying to find Batman. That was the whole purpose of Diego escaping this place and trying to hunt him down, because they need Batman to be able to solve a crime, because they believe that children in Beaumont are going missing, and it appears nobody cares about it. And while he thought about divulging this information to Nightwing, Nightwing seemed too preoccupied to handle this. And at the end of the day, they're huge Batman fanatics, so they want to hand this to Batman. Being the world's greatest detective, being one of the best brawlers around, he is their idol. So at the end of the day, they really want to take this case to him. But if they're not able to get to Batman, if they're not able to find him, they believe they need to be able to solve this on their own and bring whatever evidence they find to Batman so he can crack the case the rest of the way. And so they devise a plan to break into the administrator's office. Picking the lock and making their way inside, they start shuffling through anything and everything, trying to find evidence that could connect the administrator and these missing children. And while they're going through all of the paperwork, this is when they hear somebody walking down the hallway. The administrator is making his way to the office, and coming in, it's the administrator and Dr. Gruesel. And the Bat Pack, they do their best to hide, and they overhear the conversation going on. And that conversation is the administrator is more or less selling orphan children for science experiments. He's selling them to this doctor. And with a very limited supply of quality candidates, the next name that he gives him to sell is Lucas Laporte, which is our brawler of the Bat Pack. And with this, they make their exit, and the Bat Pack, they start to panic, trying to gather as much information and get to Batman as soon as they can. But this is when they realize that Diego is missing, because Diego has gone to take the spot of Lucas. Now, obviously, the administrator, he knows this isn't Lucas, but he's not going to say any differently. If he can sell off a kid, why not do it? Especially one that has caused him so many problems by escaping and running away consistently. And so they load Diego up into the car, and before that car is able to get away, they throw a tracking device onto the vehicle. And while Lucas is beating himself up a little bit because it's supposed to be him in that car right now, they have a plan. They're gonna make one stop before they head to wherever Diego is being kept. And that will take us to some random hospital. And Diego is currently on a table, and the doctor is about to inject him with some kind of serum. And the dialogue we get is he's really throwing jabs at Megabat and the whole idea behind his creation, saying that it was very selfish to do so, but saying that what he is doing, his science experiments, is for the betterment of humanity, ridding humanity of the disease itself. And so we see him inject this into Diego, and Diego passes out. And that's when we pick up some time later and we see the Bat Pack sneaking their way inside this place to rescue him. And as they're doing their best to try to be sneaky, to try to be sly, releasing Diego as he slowly wakes up from whatever happened to him, this is where we see the Doctor transform. And he transforms into a version of Megabat. And so the kids run. They have no other option here. They're three simple humans that have no abilities to fight off something of this magnitude. And so they run down the hallway only to run into a door that is completely boarded up. And so having no way out, with nowhere else to go, we see them prepare to fight with the best of their abilities. But lucky for them, they're not going to have to fight, because this is where we see the arrival of Nightwing, blowing a dog whistle because it seems to affect the Doctor's ears, having it at such a high frequency. And we see the Doctor transform from the Megabat back down to a human, and Nightwing is able to arrest him. The only issue with all of this is Diego was able to also hear that, because whatever super soldier serum that Megabat had injected into him, or I should say the Megabat variant, because this isn't the actual Megabat, it seems to have affected him in very, very odd ways, because it changes his skin pigment. He ends up growing fangs, and now he wants to go by the name of Chupacabra, telling Nightwing that he doesn't want the changes to go away. He wants to keep this as permanent. Nightwing tells him, this might just stay permanent. You might not have a choice in the matter. But with the administrator now going to jail, because the rest of the Bat Pack on their way to rescuing Diego, they decided to drop off all the files with Commissioner Gordon. In turn, he got a hold of Batman, causing the administrator to get arrested and giving the location of where this doctor might be. And so with all of this going on, the orphanage more or less is going to be shut down. So either the kids are going to be adopted or they're going to another group home. And so right now the Bat Pack, they're extremely worried that they might be split up. But Nightwing lets them know that there is another option, that there is another place that they could all go. That place being Teen Titans Academy. And that's what brings us to present day, because right now they're currently having a conversation with Red X, and Red X wants to know the full story on the Bat Pack. And after hearing the entire story, or at least more or less the entire story, he tells them a deal is a deal. And the deal he made is that he would show his identity. He would expose who he is. And he's doing this because he wants to earn their trust. As it stands, they have the trust of Nightwing, because everything Nightwing has done for them. But he doesn't want the Bat Pack on Nightwing's team. He wants them on his team. And he sees this as the way to win them over, telling them that the Titans don't actually care about them, telling them that they're just pawns in the overall war that is eventually going to come, because they never tell them what they're actually training for. They just tell them that they need to train and be prepared. And so Red X is subtly planting the idea that the Teen Titans are hiding things from them, building that mistrust. That way eventually they will decide to turn on them. Red X is really manipulating them in the best of ways. But he tells them with break coming up, with summer break on approach, to take that time and really think about this. Think deep, and if you really want to be a part of this, maybe I will tell you my story someday soon. And with Red X making his exit out the window, Nightwing comes and grabs the rest of the Bat Pack and brings them upstairs as fireworks are going off, because it is the end of the first semester and summer break is upon them. And the Bat Pack is now left asking themselves, what do we do now? Now that we have figured out Red X's identity, what do we do with this information? Who do we give this information to? Or do we just keep it to ourselves, and do we work with the Red X himself? And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like I've said before, I'm not personally a huge fan of the Bat Pack, but this is a good little origin story for them. Or at least for Diego at the bottom line. But more or less, they're just kids that were in an orphanage, getting experimented on, and they ended up finding their way to Teen Titans Academy, thinking that they could be a huge asset to the Titans. Because while two of them may not necessarily have superpowers, they definitely, three together, have the skill set to be able to solve a lot of things. And of course, they still continue to toy with the idea of who Red X is, not really showing us who he is, not really giving us many hints on who it could be. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.